Okay, so we are going to fold our paper into fourths, and like I said, I wanted you to go ahead and number them 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, and on this paper today, I'll give you the good news first. We'll have a short quiz, not a long quiz, only 4 questions. Okay, and then after we're done doing those questions, we're going to have one of those 3-act math tasks that we're going to solve for today on the back of the same paper that you do these 4 quiz questions on. Okay, so this is our activity for today. Now, if you haven't turned in your homework from this last week, if you still have anything lingering that needs to be turned in, I probably didn't realize that you've got it turned in if you already have, or vice versa since I was gone yesterday. So anything that you need to get turned in, extra credit, old homework, or redos, please get those turned in. Okay, and I will come around during our break here this next period, grab everything and make sure that that TTC list is up to date. Okay, another thing is the extra credit papers that the kids who are in school are doing. I don't have those online. So those of you who are at home, you'll have to find a different way to do some extra credit. I'll see if I can print them into there or save them into there, but I prefer if we just have those printed at school. That way you guys don't have to worry about printing. Okay, but that's what you'll have handy in case we finish early today, which I do expect that we'll finish early today, so you'll work on those extra credit papers. Remember, I want you to have one of them that's adding fractions and one of them that's subtracting fractions. And if you want more than 2, you can take more than 2. I've printed a lot. All right, your first question for your quiz today, which isn't really necessarily a quiz, it's more like I'm checking to see if we can independently solve problems like these. So I guess technically it is a quiz. All right, first question says, you spend 3/9 of your allowance on food and 1/3 of your allowance on entertainment. How much of your allowance do you spend? So did you spend it all? If not, how much did you spend? So does this sound like an adding, subtracting, multiplying, or dividing question? Adding. So we're going to take 3/9 plus 1/3. Okay, and you're going to write that question in the first box. Okay, and you don't have to hurry up and solve it now. I just want you to write your question in the first box. And it should look like this. Okay, I'll give you time in a little while to work on all 4 of these problems once you've gotten everything written down. Question number 2 then, this will be question number 1. Question number 2 is going to be, if you're walking 2/8 of a mile and then you run 3/9 of a mile in the same direction, how far have you traveled? So we have 2/8 and then we have 3/9 in that same direction. Are we adding, subtracting, multiplying, or dividing? Adding. Very good. Okay, so those are your first 2 questions, and when you're done, the label for this one's going to be mile. And when you're done with this question, you're going to have an amount, right? Or, yeah. You might want to write down this word so that you can talk about it in a short bit. Okay. So you should have those first 2 written down. If you don't, please get them done because I'm moving to the next slide and I'll give you time later, like I said, to finish these. Okay, this way I didn't have to print out worksheets for these assignments or for these 4 questions. It'd be silly for the school to pay for 100 papers just for 4 questions, wouldn't it? Yeah. Okay. Now the next question, question number 3, says that you need to add, but then write your answer as a mixed number in its simplest form. So this is number 3, and this will be number 4. Okay. So since there aren't story problems, we don't have to wonder which way we're going to do them. So you need to write this question down and write this question down in those other two boxes. Okay. Bless you. Yes, God bless America. So if you finish before we're ready to move on to the next task, don't worry about it. You can be working on that extra credit while you're waiting for us to catch up with you. Okay. Okay, even if you're not done, don't stress because like I said, we're just going to come back to it when we get finished with the other part of the activity. The other part is going to be a 3-act math task. So if you've gotten all of these written down, that's all the further you have to be. If you've got them all solved as well, put your hand on your back and pat your back because that's a good job. Okay, I do want you later though to go back and check to see how you did on those to make sure you calculated everything the way it should be. Okay, before you turn it in because it will be a small quiz grade. Okay, so our next job for our assignment today is to do this. So pay attention to the video, of course. See what you can glean, what kind of data you can get from this first video. There is no sound, so don't stress about not being able to hear. So evidently Dan's idea of a good time is to pop the bubbles on the bubble wrap. I do find that entertaining as well. Look how satisfied he is, and he's done with his break from his homework. Okay, on the back piece of paper, let's write down what you think the question is. What do you think the question is? And it does not have to be exactly the same question that we decide upon. So on the back piece of paper, write down what you think the math question is for that bubble wrap video we just watched. You do not need to tell me what you think it is. You're writing it down, okay? And then I want you to write one I noticed statement. I noticed ... Something you saw when we watched that video. What did you notice? Okay. I would like somebody in my room to share one of the things they noticed. Okay, Nellie, what did you notice?
I noticed that the bubble wrap, and I noticed that there was bigger bubble wrap. So, and the little one took 10 minutes, and I was wondering if the other one would be longer.
Awesome. She went right from an I noticed statement. She noticed there were bigger pieces of bubble wrap, and then she went straight into an I wonder. I wonder how much time it will take to do the bigger bubble wraps. So she's already guessed her question as well. Dace. He does seem to really like bubble wrap. I get pretty excited about bubble wrap, I'm not gonna lie. Emma.
I noticed Dan popped the bubbles one at a time.
You noticed Dan pop the bubbles one at a time? Yeah, he did. One at a time with 2 fingers. He did not stand on it. He didn't cheat. He just spent the whole time popping a singular bubble at a time. Britt.
I wonder why it took exactly 10 minutes to finish the bubble wrap.
You do too? I was wondering that same thing. I wonder why it took him exactly 10 minutes. And then I also kind of wonder how many seconds that is in 10 minutes. Sometimes I think about those things too. Yes.
I noticed when he went down the bubble wrap,
Nice. Unlike the dog who was popping the balloons in the previous lesson we did like this, he was going in rows, Bridger said. He was popping all the balloons in straight rows. Rebecca and then Isaac.
I noticed that he popped them so fast that he finished in like 10 minutes.
He popped them so fast that he popped them in 10 minutes. Isaac, was that yours?
Oh, no, I noticed that he was struggling with his homework.
You did notice at the beginning of the video, Isaac noticed that he was pretty done with his homework. Do you think he got to his productive struggle maximum and he needed a break and his break time was that bubble wrap? Good. We all know what productive struggle is, right? That's when you're working on your math and you're working and you get to that almost frustrated point and then you take a little break and then you go back and look at it with fresh eyes later. Yes.
I noticed that he was done with him, so I wondered how many bubbles per 1 minute he popped.
Oh, here's what Brody said. He noticed that he finished that small piece of bubble wrap in 10 minutes, so he's wondering how many little bubbles did he snap in 1 minute. Those are all great. So I keep hearing this 10 minutes thing. I think that's an important bit of data. I hope that you've written that down somewhere, and if you haven't, you will write that now because it's very important. It took him 10 minutes to do the small square of bubble wrap. Okay. So I will reveal the question that we're answering. Are you ready? It says, guess how long the other bubble wrap pieces will take to pop? Okay, so right now I want you to predict an answer that you know would be too high. How many minutes do you think would be a ridiculous amount too high? And also I want you to give me an answer that you know would be too low. I think obviously since they're all bigger that below 10 minutes would be way too low. Anything below 10 minutes is what I would write for the second one. Okay, so go ahead and put your predictions down for a ridiculously high prediction and then a too low prediction. Awesome. Okay, and what kind of information should we know about the rest of it to be able to answer our question? What do we need to know? What do you suppose? Okay, Emma.
how many bubbles are on each of those items.
She wants to know how many bubbles are on each piece of bubble wrap. Okay.
How many, how long it takes for you to pop bubbles.
How much it is per minute to pop the bubbles? Okay, do you guys want to see what information they give us? It says here, what information would be useful? They're wanting to know sizes, it sounds like to me, and amounts of time. And what information doesn't really matter? Well, I'm not sure. Let's look at this hint. Okay, there's our hint. They told us now it was 10 minutes for 8 inches. So it's 8 inches by 8 inches square. Okay, so write down the rest of the information. So I would draw a picture of the 8-inch one, a picture of the 12-inch one, and a picture of the 16-inch one. And from there, you should be able to do a little bit of brainstorming about how we can solve for the answer to the question, how much time is it going to take us to do the 12-inch by 12-inch square? How much time should it take us to do the 16 by 16-inch square? Okay,
I noticed something.
what did you notice?
They're going by fours.
Isaac noticed something pretty important. They are going by fours. Yeah, and can we make a ratio? Actually, in this case, it's not a ratio, it's a rate, isn't it? Okay, so the first rate would be 10 minutes per 8 inches, right? So we could definitely make what looks like a fraction, but it's really a rate. So 8 over 10, okay? And could we find an equivalent ratio that has to do with fours then?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so I'm going to give you guys some time to work through that problem, and then I will reveal the final answer in about 20 minutes, okay? So I will let you guys kind of chew on that problem, finish the problems on the front side, and in about 20 minutes, I'm going to reveal the answer, and then we'll do our final writing for our 3-act math task, okay? Get busy with all of it. Okay. Those of you who finish early, remember you've got those extra credit papers. You need to have one adding one and one subtracting one. If, at minimum is what I'd like you to do. Okay. If you're done with all of that, then you definitely can use some free time to read silently. Okay. Or math silently if you have a math you want to silently do. Isaac.
5 minutes.
Oh, come whisper in my ear so that other people aren't hearing everything. I agree. Ooh, I love it. Nice.
I had that left over from both my wondering question, but didn't write anything in it, so I just decided to write the answer to the other question.
Okay. Good job. You don't have to try one of these. And the coloring sometimes isn't as fun for some people, so it doesn't necessarily have to be 100% done. If you do the math, I'm happy.
Should I have it in?
No, because we're going to add some writing to that.
Oh.
Nope, we can't sharpen right now. Okay, so since everybody's ready, let's go ahead and look at the back of our paper. We were talking about bubble wrap, right? And some of us are finished, but we do need to do some writing in mathematics. I want to see some explanation of what was going mathematically on in your head. Okay, so let's go back to where we were. We have this there, right? And we have, where's my bubble wrap? I think I might have closed something out that I still needed. Oh yeah, here it is. Okay, so some of us have really great answers. I will go ahead and show you the large piece first, so you can see if you were correct or incorrect. And then we'll talk a little bit about some of the things I expect in the writing. So pencils down. Pencils down. I don't know, the way he threw his head back and smiled, it was hilarious. It truly makes him happy.
Way off. Yes, way off. By a lot.
Oh, wow. Okay. Let's go ahead and then we'll watch the next. Actually, I heard people saying I was way off. Okay, I had a lot of people thinking 20 minutes here. And how much did it turn out to be? 40. Okay. So for one 8-inch square, it took 10 minutes. And by their logic, I actually want to show you some of the thinking that another student gave me on the presentation. Okay, I've got to refresh this, I think. Okay. All right, a student showed me this. He was like, here, I made a chart, a table, so to speak, right? Mathematicians love to organize their data into tables. So he's like, well, I know 4/5 is equivalent to 8/10 is equivalent to 12/15 and so on. So if it is 8-inch square and it takes 10 minutes, then a 4-inch square should take 5 minutes, okay? And then he has his high estimate here and his low estimate here, right? And then he's got the picture of the 3 different sizes of bubble wrap, okay? So I really like this, but when we got to our 16-inch bubble wrap, we were almost all of us predicting 20. Why do you think it would be double that? And based on that, what do you think your answer should have been then for the medium-sized paper?
No, 30.
Okay, so I'm getting 20s and 30s here.
It's gonna be 20 because it looks like it doubled. No, it's gonna be 20. Yeah, I think it doubled. It could be, yeah, it doubled. So it's gonna be 20. I think it's 25 or 30. 40. 10 or in between.
Okay.
I think 30. Hold on. Okay.
So what we're thinking here is I'm hearing people say that they're still going by the fourths, right? If you think of this 8-inch by 8-inch and you cut it into fourths, right? How many pieces do you have?
25%.
What did we have today when I had you guys fold your paper instead of in eighths? I had you fold them in fourths. So for this then, if we think about folding it in half, then it would be 2/4, right? Or 4/4 if you fold it the other way, right? So think about what I'm saying there and how that relates to the answer we got of 40 minutes here. And maybe I'll let you guys do a little discussion to see if you can finally come to a conclusion on the middle piece of bubble wrap, okay? I'll give you about 3 minutes in all classes to discuss. You may begin.
It's 20 or 25 times 2 is 40, so 50. Half of 40 minutes is 4 minutes. Okay, well, the last one was 10 minutes. 10 times 2. I honestly have no idea. That's 8 4. Sort of get it right now. And we subtract that by 10. By the way, you get that. It is what that is. I got one. If you have a PDF, you turn it into extra credit. It's a homework assignment.
I did provide a further hint.
Don't assume that's 2.5. Don't assume. You don't want 2.2 to the left, and it would make it 250, but that's it. I know. If 1/4 is 1/4 of 8 inches, there has to be 1/8 of the 12 inches. Probably is. Guys, a quarter of the 8 inch is an eighth of the 12 inch. So 2.5 times 8.
If 2.5, yeah, that's times 2, it'll make 5. That's the size of a square one. So it's 5 4 times. I was right.
My second answer was right. 20. It's 20.
Same.
My first answer was 14. I don't know how I understood that.
Okay, so I think that we've come to a really good spot to stop our discussion. And I heard a lot of really rich math discussion going on. Okay, so I want to know from the other classrooms what they think or what they predict the 12 by 12 is going to be based on what we've looked at so far. Have a seat, Mrs. Fransen's class. I know you're excited about this.
In Miss Mueller's class, I predicted 30.
Okay.
Because we were only adding 4 inches instead of adding 8. So that's why we got 20 on the last one.
Very good. Okay. Does anybody agree with that? It was, I believe, 30 minutes is what she said, or he? Who was it? It was a he. Okay. Okay, so you're guessing at a 25. How many of us are ready to go ahead and see the final act? Okay, I think I am. So you can go ahead and have your guess down. Please don't erase any of the incorrect or false starts is what we call them in mathematics. don't erase what you've done wrong because that is important too. So I'm going to go ahead and go back here and we will watch the medium piece next. I'm sorry, it takes a long time, it seems like, to load these. He's still going row by row, so he's still doing that same technique.
25, 22 and a half.
22 and a half. Okay, so now that you know the results there, make sure you've gotten it written down, remember? Okay, so over here we have 40 minutes. Over here we had 10 minutes. Let's put that last piece of data down. Okay. All right, here's what you must do for me now. I know that you probably want to do a little more mapping before you're ready to write down what I need you to write for your writing in math. I want you to have a sentence that describes what the problem was. So imagine you're telling someone what this particular activity was about, and they've never seen Dan Myers pop a bubble wrap in their life, okay? So you need to describe what the problem was, all right? And then you need to describe how you solved the problems, and you can include how you had a false start in there, because I think almost everybody did. Okay, and then when you get done, I want you to tell me mathematically what went on. So let's brainstorm a couple of good, rich mathematical vocabulary terms we could use in here. Anybody have one? Yes.
First we used the rate.
Okay, here's the term you said.
4 inches for every 5 minutes.
Okay.
And
That's the only term you can think of?
yeah.
Okay. What shape are those bubble wraps in? They're not in rectangles, they're specifically square. I would like you to see if you can use that, okay? And I would like you to talk about specifically, likely when you get to your answer, how you can solve that problem mathematically, you'll need to use the word fourths. Okay, so I want you to spend the remaining amount of time in math class as much as possible describing what that problem was in a sentence or two, and then describing mathematically what happened, okay? And if you need to visit with a neighbor because it's still not coming clear to you or it hasn't clicked with you, you may, okay? So the last part of math class might be a little bit noisy, okay? But let's try to remember to keep it at a one voice level so that others can still concentrate to do their writing. Any questions? When you're done writing, yes, you may turn it in. Okay, remember what I like to see in mathematics? Writing. I want to see your mathematical thinking, which is already there. All the data should be there, but now I want to see in written terms what you did and how this progressed today. Okay, let's go ahead and begin. And then at the end of math, please make sure you've turned it in with your name at the top. As a matter of fact, let's just double check right now that we have our name at the top of the front side of this paper. Okay, and then don't forget to double check your accuracy on those 4 questions on the front. Okay? All right, you guys happy mathing? We'll talk to you later.
It's the exact same thing that I had before.